Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 30, verse number 18. Evam Kutumba Bharane Vyapritatma Jitendriyaha Mriyate Rudatam Swanam Uru Vedana Yasyati. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Thus the man who engaged with uncontrolled senses in maintaining a family dies in dread trip, seeing his relatives trying. He dies most pathetically in a great pain and without consciousness. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In Bhagavad Gita it is said that at the time of death one will be absorbed in the thoughts which he cultivated during his lifetime. A person who had no other idea than to properly maintain his family members must have family affairs in his last thoughts. That is the natural sequence for a common man. The common man does not know the destiny of his life. He is simply busy in his flesh of life, maintaining his family. At the last stage, no one is satisfied with how he has improved the family economic condition. Everyone thinks that he could not provide sufficiently. Because of his deep family affection, he forgets his main duty of controlling the senses and improving his spiritual consciousness. Sometimes a dying man entrusts the family affairs to either his son or some relative, saying, "I am going, please look after the family." He does not know where he is going, but even at the time of death, he is anxious about how his family will be maintained. Sometimes it is seen that a dying man requests the physician to increase his life at least for a few years, so that the family maintenance plan which he has begun can be completed. These are the material diseases of the conditioned soul. He completely forgets his real engagement to become Krishna conscious and is always serious about planning to maintain his family, although he changes family one after another. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport.
These are verses in this chapter called Description of Adverse Fruitive Activities. And in today's verse we see how a person who is Ajita Atma Indriyaha, Ajita Atma Indriya, one who did not conquer his mind, his senses, what happens to him? And without conquering his mind and senses, what did he do? Kutumba Bharane Vyapritha. He was absorbed in Kutumba Bharana, maintaining the family. Then what happens to him? Mriyate Rudatam. And he dies, Rudatam, Rudati, to cry. And Swanam Uruvedanaya. Not only he is crying, and all his relatives are also crying. Swanam Uru Vedanaya. They are also going through pain. Oh, he is going. And in this way, Asthadhihi, without proper development of consciousness, he mriyate, he dies. Thus the man who engaged with uncontrolled senses, ajita indriyaha, in maintaining a family, kutumba bharane vyapruta, dies in great grief, rudatam mriyate, seeing his relatives crying, svanam uruvedanaya, he dies most pathetically, mriyate, rudatam mriyate, in great pain and without consciousness. Asthadhihi. Uruvedanaya asthadhihi. These few verses in the Bhagavatam, and there are many other places which describes what is known in modern terms, near-death experience. There is a lot of interest. It's called NDE. When you are nearing death, what is the experience? Of course, in modern times they study what happens, and people who came back from that, they come back and tell, I saw one tunnel, I saw one light, something like that. There are different accounts. Researchers are trying. Of course, many people who go near death don't come back and tell us. They'll go away. But who came back? They have captured some data like that, some information like that. And a lot of people have interest in that NDE, near-death experience. But actually from the Bhagavatam we get a more clarity. And the Bhagavatam's perspective is from another altogether different perspective about what's happening to that person. What will happen next? Actually, it is a fact that we have to seriously think. About, of course, even as devotees, although we talk quite extensively, we are going to die, what will happen? And of course, leave conditioned souls, materialistic people, they don't even think about it. They want to avoid. I don't know if I have shared with you, you all remember. Sometimes I have mentioned in the classes. When I became a devotee, I was quite young, still in college. Went to attended a few classes, and some devotees spoke to me and read some books. And went back and home and told parents, we are going to die one day. This is an unusual conversation. And immediately my mother quieted me. Shh. Evening after lights have been turned on, don't talk about such things. You see? It is considered inauspicious. But we begin our day thinking about this. Throughout the day we are conscious. Trisandhyam. In fact, we have to be conscious. Jai Shri Krishna Rukmini Satyabhama Krishna Balaram Nitai Gauranga Srila Prabhupada. In fact, I would say We don't sufficiently think, even as devotees. Because most of you are young, and I was also like that. This talk about death it's a theoretical talk. It's a distant talk. Not immediately it's going to happen too. But now, after getting aged, now it is, oh my God, we used to talk about all this. It's serious. It can happen to me too, anytime. So, sometimes we talk about concepts. Materialists don't even talk. That's their misfortune. But we talk, but still we sort of keep it as a distant reality, don't realize that it is something serious. Few days back, from here only, I was talking to some doctor on a Zoom. It was a part of some preaching session. And the doctor asked me, he's a cancer specialist. So doctor asked me, Prabhuji, can I invite one of my patients? And so I was thinking I'm going to talk to him and it's a science and doctor and what to say. But then I can't say no when he's saying. I said, okay. And then immediately he had already sent the link, I think. In a few seconds, one woman joined. And she had no hair at all. And he said, before she came, she said, she's my patient in stage 4. And all chemotherapy, everything has been tried and it's in her last days. So I thought, okay, whatever. And then she came on, not a very old woman, must be 50s. Of course, some of you may think, 50s you are saying not old. That's what, when you come to our age, we think 50 is not old. It's pretty young. We think like that. As you get older and older, you think this is still young. This is how the illusion works. And so, anyway, she stayed on we were discussing some. So afterwards I was thinking what it is to be so aware. In a few days we are going to die. Just 2 days back I read in the newspaper here, there were some women pouring water into the ocean in small kalasha like. And it said, yesterday was the 19th anniversary of the tsunami that struck the coast 19 years back. And 8,000 people were killed. And of course, I very distinctly remember reading that in the papers. I remember reading people were taking, it was a Sunday, if I remember right. People were taking a morning walk on Marina Beach here. And all of a sudden they saw some 20 feet high wave coming up. And they must have thought, sometimes a big wave comes and it'll subside before. But then it kept coming. And people must have run. But it is 20 feet is, double, almost little more than half, 1.5 times this height, I think. I don't remember, 20, 30 feet wave, something came. And that volume of water washed away people. Sometimes in the kitchen or in the bathroom, we see some ants, and then we are not conscious. Bucket of water, all the ants are like that. For them, that bucket was a tsunami. For us, tsunami is a bigger quantity of water. It's just relative. Its eyes, its body. This can cause a tsunami for a small ant. So these are realities, and then they were all washed away. And what could have happened? So much water and turbulence in the water. Some knew swimming, some didn't know swimming. Mostly what we do, the rest of us who live, we discuss statistics. 8,000 people died. And that maybe 1,000 in Chennai. Out of the population of Chennai, 1,000 go. Hardly matters. Statistically. But for those, every one of those 1,000, how much it was an experience. See, that is how statistics is sometimes very misleading. You know that story, that one example on cartoon is there about statistics. A man wanted to cross the river, and it said average depth 5 feet. So he thought 5 feet means only till here, I can keep walking. But that's average. Some places it is 12 feet, 14, 15 feet. He'll be finished. So anyway, we make these kind of measures in our world. That's why I heard this story. I'm not too sure. I'm not very authentically verified. Someone told Srila Prabhupada, the mortality rate we have improved from 50 years to 65 years. Or something like that. And Prabhupada commented, he said, no, and some percentage, it has gone up by some percentage. And Prabhupada said, no, mortality is 100%. Everybody is going to die. So sometimes we make some statistics to comfort ourselves. We have improved the situation. We cannot improve this material world. From a transcendental point of view, that's our perspective. And it is a fact. I remember another occasion. My father had a heart attack, and he was admitted to the hospital, and surgery happened. And after the surgery, the doctor was coming, and then my family members, they were telling, I overheard this conversation, talking to the doctor, cardiac surgeon, and saying that, God, doctor, you are like God for us. You have saved our father. And I was also hearing, and I was just nodding, thanking the doctor. After about 10 years, my father passed away. So that God could come, Dr. God can come and do anything. Maybe delayed by 10 years. So, this is a transcendental viewpoint. And constantly we remind ourselves of the transcendental viewpoint, which is very valid, which is very essential. So that we don't go into illusion thinking that, oh, this life I must enjoy. That's stupid. But it is a fact that when the soul has to leave the body, when we have to leave the body, what circumstance we will leave the body? Of course, a lot of people say, I should sleep in the night, and in night I should die. Next morning, no, I didn't get up. Everybody prefers that, wishes that. Because they know that we don't know how that last moment is going to be. But in the midst of all the grand activities, we don't think about it. You see? I've been watching 2-3 times, it happened from the guest room. The marriage happens, right? Our marriage hall. It will be silent, no activity, just some housekeeping boys cleaning. Then slowly decorations will start, some rangoli will come, chairs are being moved, lights are turned on, cars start coming. Suddenly, for 2 hours or 3 hours, intense activity, cars coming one after another, all dressed up, men and women, suit and silk saris and this and that, and all meeting each other. And then it goes on, and by 9 o'clock, all the guests are gone. By 10 o'clock, lights have been dimmed. Nothing after 10:30. I was reflecting, seeing this. Material world is like that. Suddenly there is a spurt of intense activity and important. I'm shaking hands, speaking, smiling, taking photographs. So many, I saw that also. People in different combinations, taking men, all women, men, women, all kinds of combinations, taking photographs, all that. Celebrations and memories. And everything washed out after. It actually happens that way. That's why Prabhupada uses these words. In a few places Prabhupada has used, and here also he has used. It's a very nice word, very nice expression. The common man does not know the destiny of his life. He is simply busy in his flash of life, maintaining his family. It's a flash of life. That whole wedding reception is just a flash. And our whole life is actually a flash. And not aware of these things, asthadhihi. We are not worried about our consciousness, we have to develop. So, this material existence is actually to be feared. There is a healthy fear. There must be fear. And the material existence in Sanskrit, in Bhagavatam words, many times we come across, it's called samsriti. Samsriti means repeated birth and death. The soul is not supposed to be in this material birth and death experience, samsriti. But he is in samsriti, smriti, samsriti. Samsriti bhaya. Fear of material existence. You see, so much so, every morning, according to the plan, a program Prabhupada has given, we come, have bath and come here rushing on time. And first thing, what do we remember? This material world is a forest fire. We have to remind ourselves, because despite remembering, we forget that this is a forest fire. We think, okay, little, we can somehow enjoy. Samsrite bhayat. There is one very nice verse in the Bhagavatam I wanted to share with all of you. This is a verse from the 10th canto. This is a chapter which is known as Gopi Gita. The gopis chanted these verses or sung these verses. There are 19 verses in chapter 31, 10th canto. It's called Gopi Gita. That famous verse, Tava katamrutam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam shravana mangalam, that is one of the 19 verses. Gopi Gita. Gopis were chanting that when Krishna had vanished. They could not bear that separation. With that intense feelings. Gopi Gita is full of feelings, high intensity feelings of separation from Krishna. At that time, the gopis, one of the verses is this. I'll read this because it's relevant to today's verse and what we are discussing. Samsrite bhayat. Gopis are praying to Krishna. Virachita bhayam prishni dhuryate charanami yusham samsriter bhayat. See? Samsriti bhaya. Samsriter bhayat. Karasaroruham Kanta kamadam shirasi dehi naha shri karagriham. This is extremely beautiful poetry. Extremely nice. We will analyze that little bit, little by little. Virachita abhayam. Krishna, you create abhayam. You can create fearlessness. Otherwise, this material world, samsriti, is very fearful. But Krishna, you can inspire virachita, rachita, rachana. You can bring about abhayam, virachita abhayam. Vrishni dhuryate, Vrishni dhurya. You are the foremost of the Vrishni. You are the chief of the Vrishni dynasty. Virachita bhayam, Vrishni dhuryate. Te, your. Charana iyusham. Te charana iyusham. Te charana, your lotus feet. Iyusham, who approach. For those who approach your lotus feet, you create abhayam. Virachita abhayam, Vrishni dhuryate. Iyusham, charanam iyusham. Te charanam iyusham. Samsriter bhayat. Out of fear of material existence, when people approach your lotus feet, out of fear of material existence, You create that fearlessness. So this is a great hope should be a great hope for the devotees. If we approach Krishna's lotus feet, He will create fearlessness in our heart. Actually, we take it very lightly. You know, Srila Prabhupada, from September, October, November, 2.5, 3 months, he was on the bed, was not eating, was not drinking. And they would bring Bhagavatam and read Bhagavatam, and he would hold a dictaphone. You know that famous photograph of Prabhupada lying on the bed with a dictaphone near his mouth, and he is dictating purports to Bhagavatam. And sometimes devotees would come, GBCs would come, they would ask him questions and he would answer. And sometimes he would say, "There's nothing more to say. I have said everything in my books. Please read my books. Don't lament. I've already told you. The soul never dies. Krishna is Nitya. We are also Nitya." He would speak like that, preparing for his leaving. Fearless. Completely fearless. Completely equipoised. Completely on a spiritual platform. Not a small thing. And extended over days after days, many weeks, many months, few months. Fearless. So that fearlessness can come by Krishna blessing that fearlessness in the heart. It is not some kind of a mental exercise. Virachita abhayam prishni dhuryate charana iyusham samsriter bhayat. Karasaroruham. Kara, Krishna's lotus hands. Saroruham. Saroruham, Saroruha it means born in the lake. That's referring to the lotus. Karasaroruham Kantakamadam. They are praying to Krishna. Krishna, your Kamadam, your Kamada means Varada. One, whatever, He is the giver of benedictions. He is the fulfiller of our desires. So Kanta Kamadam, Krishna, we have all come to you to serve you. Please fulfill our desires. Karasaroruham Kanta Kamadam Shirasi Dehinaha. Shirasi, one's head. Dehinaha, Naha, Shirasi, our heads. Dehi, Shirasi Dehinaha. Please place your lotus hand on our head. They are praying. Shirasi Dehinaha Shri Karagruham. Krishna, you grasp the hand of Lakshmi. You grasp the hand of Radharani. You grasp the hand of Rukmini. You grasp the hand of Satyabhama. Shri Karagraham. That Lord, please place your lotus hand on our head and fulfill our desires and free us from all fearfulness. That hand awards fearlessness to Samsriter Bhayat Te Charana Iyusham, those who approach your lotus feet. Virachita Bhayam. So please do this. They are asking, O best of the Vrishnis, your lotus-like hand, which holds the hand of the goddess of fortune, grants fearlessness to those who approach your feet out of fear of material existence. O lover, please place that wish-fulfilling lotus hand on our heads. This was the prayer of the gopis. Shirasi dehinaha shikaragraham. So, these important instructions are there in the Bhagavatam. And another important instruction here, it is being ajita, atma ajita indriyaha. You see, this Bhagavatam is preparing us, all these verses. Because if we don't control our senses, there's no possibility of spiritual advancement. It is not, we cannot develop our consciousness, fine-tune our consciousness to appreciate Krishna, Krishna consciousness, Krishna bhakti, unless we have a certain control of our mind and senses. Without that, there is no possibility. That is why Krishna in the 3rd chapter of the Gita, Krishna says, Tasmat tvam indriyanyado niyamya bharatarshava. Tvam indriya niyamya. Tasmat tvam indriyan ado niyamya bharatarshava. Ado, beginning, from the beginning. Niyamya ado bharatarshava. Papmanam prajahyenam. If we do this karma, which is papmanam, symbol of sin. Papmanam means that which causes sin. Lust which causes sin. Papmanam prajahi. Jahi means to win over. Prajahi means to conquer. Papmanam prajahyenam. In this way you can conquer lust. By what? By how? Indriya niyama. Tasmatvam indriyanyado niyamya bharatarshava. Papmanam prajahyenam. If you don't conquer this karma, what happens? Jnana vijnana nashanam. Whatever spiritual knowledge, whatever spiritual realization we have, it will be finished. Nashanam. Tasmatvam indriyanyado niyamya bharatarshava. Papmanam prajahyenam jnana vijnana nashanam. That is why throughout this Vedic culture is about controlling the senses, controlling the mind. At least a small percentage of the human population should be that. Everybody may not be able to do. At least a small percentage of human society should have these qualifications, and they should have some insights about spirituality, and they should be inspiring others in society so that spiritual knowledge, spiritual understanding is guiding and regulating human society. Otherwise, the society can go off. That is why here also Kapila Deva is teaching all these things. And with this we will stop here. If there are any questions, I'll try to answer. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Krishna Rukmini Satyabhama ki, Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Shri Nitai Gauranga ki, Hari Hari Bo.